Ladies and gentlemen, there comes a moment in every human life when the fabric of the ordinary begins to fray, not with chaos or calamity, but with a strange silence, a stirring in the soul. You may find yourself restless for no reason, distant from your routines, as if the world you know is preparing to birth something you cannot yet see. If this happens to you, listen carefully. Something very good is about to arrive. When you begin to lose what you thought defined you, it does not come as a dramatic moment of collapse. More often, it begins as a subtle erosion, an inner disquiet, a questioning of what once felt solid. The roles you played, the beliefs you held, the goals you chased with such conviction, suddenly, they feel foreign, like clothes that no longer fit, or a story you've outgrown. You may wake up one day and realize that the things that once gave you pride or purpose now feel hollow or distant. This can be frightening. The temptation is to cling, to reinforce the old structures of identity, to reassure yourself that nothing is changing. But the truth is, something deeper is stirring within you. What is happening is not a loss, but a stripping away. You are not being emptied in vain. You are being invited to uncover something more real, something essential. The persona, the social mask you wear to navigate the world, begins to slip. You may find yourself forgetting why certain achievements mattered so much, or why you feared judgment, or why you worked so hard to be seen in a particular light. This disintegration of the constructed self can feel like death, but it is a sacred death, the dying of illusion. In that crumbling, in that gentle unraveling, the true self starts to breathe. The self that has no name, no job title, no social identity. The self that existed before anyone told you who you were supposed to be. This is not regression, it is awakening. At this threshold, the outer world may appear confusing or even hostile. People may say, "You've changed," or "You don't seem like yourself." But that is precisely the point. The self they refer to was a projection, a shell, a survival mask. The deeper self that now begins to emerge does not seek applause. It seeks alignment, with truth, with purpose, with soul. So, when you feel the definitions fall away, when your ambitions lose their flavor, when your old dreams feel like echoes, when you cannot recognize your reflection in the mirror of the world, do not run. Do not grasp for the old name tags and costumes. You are not disappearing. You are being revealed, and in that revelation lies the beginning of something profoundly good, not the fleeting happiness of surface achievement, but the joy of knowing who you are beneath it all. The you that has always been waiting to arrive. There may come a moment when everything in your life seems intact, yet within you there is a hollowness you cannot name. Your relationships may be steady, your routines intact, your outward life untroubled, yet there is a silence inside, a sense of absence that cannot be filled by noise or distraction. This emptiness can be unnerving. It may feel like a kind of emotional numbness or a strange stillness in the heart where passion once lived. You may try to ignore it, to drown it in activity, entertainment, or work, but it remains like a shadow that cannot be chased away. Most people fear this sensation. They associate it with depression, failure, or some vague sense of meaninglessness. But if you resist the urge to pathologize it, if you can sit with it, feel it, and be honest with its presence, you may begin to see that this emptiness is not a sign of deficiency. It is, in fact, a space of sacred potential. In every meaningful transformation, there comes a clearing. Just as the forest floor must lie fallow before new life can take root, the soul, too, must experience this pause, a spiritual quieting, a temporary void. You are not being punished. You are being prepared. The emptiness you feel is the soul's way of making space for something new. It is the silence before revelation, the waiting ground of deep change. This internal emptiness often arrives at the end of one cycle, when something within you has quietly concluded, even if you haven't consciously named it. The old fire has burned out, and the new flame has not yet been lit. You are standing between stories, and while the mind rushes to fill the silence, to understand or explain, the soul waits patiently, because it knows that only in true emptiness can something genuinely original be born. This space cannot be forced closed. If you try to escape it, you merely delay the arrival of what it is meant to usher in. But if you honor it, if you sit with it without judgment, letting it stretch within you, it will slowly become fertile. The very void you feared will start to feel alive, as though it holds a secret that has not yet found words. Eventually, something stirs, not always dramatically, not always loudly. Perhaps a subtle desire awakens, or an old passion returns, but in a new form. Perhaps a new question takes root, a new kind of knowing, and when it does, it will not come to fill you like a distraction. It will grow up from the emptiness itself, as a tree rises from soil made ready by stillness and waiting. So if you feel empty, quietly, mysteriously, unexplainably, do not rush to fix it. Something very good is on its way, not because you've earned it, not because you've sought it, but because you are finally spacious enough to receive it. There may come a time when the outer world begins to echo your inner world with uncanny precision. You think of someone and they call, you dream of a place, and days later you are brought there by chance. A phrase, an image, a symbol keeps appearing, on a billboard, in a book, in a stranger's conversation, as though the universe is trying to get your attention through repetition. These moments, so often dismissed as coincidence, are not accidents. They are signs that the veil between your conscious life and the deeper, guiding forces of existence is thinning. This is the phenomenon of synchronicity, and when it begins to multiply, it is never random. It is the world speaking in symbol, the unconscious mind spilling outward into events, patterns, and encounters. When these synchronicities intensify, it often means you are on the brink of a personal shift. Something buried is surfacing, and your psyche is beginning to align with a larger pattern, one not created by logic but by meaning. Unlike ordinary cause and effect, synchronicity is connected by significance. Two events might have no physical relation, yet arrive together in a way that feels personally profound. The message may not be obvious at first, but when this web of meaningful coincidences thickens, it is as if life itself is pointing you toward a path, not one of your own making, but one that emerges from a deeper intelligence. These moments of resonance are like road signs in a forest at night. You may not see the whole path ahead, but something in you recognizes the symbols. You feel a pull, a sense of being guided, not controlled, but invited. The synchronicities may come gently at first, like soft knocks at the door. If you ignore them, they often grow louder, until you cannot help but wonder if the universe is orchestrating something on your behalf. Pay attention when this happens, write it down, reflect, trust your intuitive response, not just your rational mind. The more you notice these patterns, the more they seem to appear, as though the act of attention itself opens a channel. This is not superstition. It is communion with a reality more alive and interconnected than the surface world allows. And so, when synchronicities multiply, it is often a prelude to something significant being born, an insight, a calling, a breakthrough. You are not merely watching life unfold, you are participating in its design. Something very good is coming, not from outside, but from within and without, meeting in the perfect rhythm of time, symbol, and soul. At times, just when you believe you have moved past certain pains, certain scars, they rise again, uninvited, unexpected, and often unwelcome. These old wounds, long thought healed or buried, may suddenly reappear in dreams, emotions, or fleeting moments of vulnerability. It can feel like a cruel twist of fate, as if the past is coming back to haunt you, reopening doors you thought were closed. The impulse is to resist, to push these feelings away, to distract yourself from the ache that surfaces. Yet, this resurfacing is not a regression or failure. It is an essential part of the soul's journey toward wholeness. These wounds are fragments of your psyche that have not yet been integrated. They represent parts of your story that were too painful to face fully at the time, moments when your spirit was fractured or your innocence touched by suffering. The psyche is not content to leave these fragments hidden forever. It calls them back into awareness, demanding that they be seen, felt, and accepted. This process can be uncomfortable, even terrifying, but it is necessary if you are to be truly healed. When these wounds resurface, It is as if your inner self is inviting you to return to the broken places, not to dwell there in despair, but to offer compassion and understanding to what was once wounded. The old pain holds keys to deeper self-knowledge and empathy that cannot be gained without the willingness to face what was once too difficult. By embracing these wounds, by allowing them to be witnessed rather than ignored, you begin the alchemical process of transformation. This confrontation with old pain is not a solitary ordeal. In that moment of facing your shadow, you often discover the strength that lies beneath vulnerability. You realize that healing is not about erasing scars, but about integrating them into your story, so they become sources of wisdom rather than chains of suffering. The wounds that once fragmented your soul become bridges to a more profound sense of self and connection with others. So, when old wounds arise unbidden, know that they are not a sign of weakness or failure. They are the soul's invitation to deeper healing and expansion. By meeting these wounds with courage and kindness, you prepare the way for something very good, a renewal that carries you beyond pain and into the fullness of your being. There are moments in life when you find yourself engulfed in a profound solitude, a solitude that feels as if you are utterly alone in the world. It is not the comfortable kind of loneliness you might feel after a busy day or a quiet evening. No, this solitude is deeper, a raw, almost sacred aloneness that touches the core of your being. It can feel isolating, as if the familiar connections that once grounded you have dissolved, leaving you adrift in a vast inner space. Yet, paradoxically, within this very loneliness, you become more awake than ever before. This deep solitude is not abandonment, it is an initiation. It is the soul's way of peeling back the layers of distraction and noise to reveal what lies beneath, the essential self, the true presence that exists beyond roles, masks, and social expectations. In this solitude, the usual chatter of the mind quiets, and a subtle clarity begins to emerge. You may become aware of sensations, emotions, or thoughts you had long ignored. You begin to listen, not to the voices of the world, but to the whispers of your own spirit. This experience is not easy. The emptiness of aloneness can feel like a wilderness, a place where old certainties dissolve and new ones have yet to form. The mind may scream for companionship, for reassurance, for answers, yet the soul understands that this solitude is a necessary passage. It is in the crucible of aloneness that transformation takes place. Like a seed buried deep in the dark earth, you are being prepared to grow in ways you cannot yet imagine. Within this solitude, you come face to face with yourself, your fears, your desires, your shadows, and your light. This encounter can be both terrifying and beautiful. You realize that to be truly known by yourself is a rare gift, and in this knowledge, a new kind of freedom arises. You are no longer defined by external validation or the noise of others' expectations. Instead, you become attuned to the deeper rhythms of your own soul. This heightened awareness that accompanies solitude is a sign that something profound is unfolding within you. It is the awakening of your inner guide, the emergence of a wisdom that transcends logic and surface understanding. You begin to sense a connection to something larger, an invisible thread weaving your existence into the greater tapestry of life. So when you feel alone yet deeply aware, do not despair. This solitude is a sacred space, a place of preparation and awakening. It is here, in the quiet and the stillness, that the next chapter of your life begins to write itself. Something very good is on its way, born not from the comfort of company, but from the courage to stand alone and listen deeply to the truth within.